Welcome to our exploration of Mannerism, a unique art movement that thrived during the late Renaissance, derived from the Italian word manera meaning style. Mannerism is characterized by its distinctive and recognizable touch in both painting and sculpture. Unlike the naturalism of earlier Renaissance art, Mannerism embraces a stylized and often exaggerated approach, creating works that are both fascinating and enigmatic.
There are two key factors defining Mannerism: the representation of human figures and the style of the Mannerist. In Mannerist art, human figures are depicted with grace, yet their bodies are often oddly positioned with elongated limbs and exaggerated features. These figures inhabit flat, almost real spaces that defy traditional perspectives. Mannerists also took great liberties with ornamentation, creating intricate details that resulted in unusual spatial effects. They experimented with bold and clashing colors, moving away from the muted tones of earlier periods.
Mannerism launched a highly imaginative period in art following the climax of perfection that naturalistic painting had reached in Renaissance Italy. Artists in 16th century Florence and Rome started to veer from classical influences and move toward a more intellectual and expressive approach. This ushered in a veer from authentic portrayals of figures and subjects, a rejection of harmony, and the development of a dramatic new style unconfined by the pictorial plane, reality, or literal correctness. Radical asymmetry, artifice, and the decorative also informed this movement. New discoveries in science had led society away from humanist ideals, and paintings no longer posited man as the center of the universe, but rather as isolated, peripheral participants in the great mysteries of life.
Some scholars further divide Mannerism into two periods: early Mannerism, which expressed an anti-traditional approach and lasted until 1535, and was followed by High Mannerism, where a more intricate and artificial style appealed to more sophisticated patrons, becoming a kind of court style. Later, the use of the term Mannerism to denote a particular period of art history was pioneered by Luigi Lazzi, a 17th century art historian and archaeologist. The period would become a forebear to the Baroque period.
Let's look at some iconic examples of Mannerism. Parmigianino's self-portrait in a convex mirror is a notable example of Mannerism art created when the artist was just 21 years old. The painting features Parmigianino's reflection in a convex mirror with a distorted hand prominently in the foreground. This distortion is intentional, challenging the traditional Renaissance approach to realism. The artist also paid careful attention to the texture of his clothing, capturing the light of the fur, lace, and fabric with an almost impressionistic technique. This self-portrait was one of the pieces Parmigianino took to Rome to seek the patronage of Pope Clement VII, showcasing his innovative approach to art. Unlike most Renaissance artists who corrected mirror distortions, Parmigianino embraced them, using the convex mirror to explore themes of perceptions and reality. His work is considered highly modern for its time, with art critics and historians noticing its introspective and psychological depth. Parmigianino became a key figure in the Mannerist movement and made significant contributions to printmaking, earning him the title Father of Etching. His self-portrait in a convex mirror also inspired John Ashbery's 1975 poem of the same name, highlighting its lasting impact on both visual and literature.
Jacopo da Pontormo's Deposition from the Cross is an important altarpiece that exemplifies the Mannerist style. The painting features a group of anguished figures lowering Christ's elongated, serpentine body with the Virgin Mary fainting in the upper right. Notably, Pontormo omits the cross, a key element traditionally present in such scenes, and adds additional figures, including a possible self-portrait of the artist. The composition emphasizes swirling gestures and distorted poses, creating an unrealistic pictorial style. space that departs from the naturalism of the Renaissance. The use of an unusual color palette and the isolated, sharp expressions of the figures further enhance the emotional intensity of the scene. Pontormo's work marked the emergence of Mannerism, influencing artists such as Bronzino, Vasari, and El Greco.
Bronzino's is a notable portrait of Eleanor of Toledo, the Spanish wife of Cosimo I de' Medici, Grand Duke of Tuscany, accompanied by one of their sons, likely Giovanni. The painting portrays Eleanor with her hand on her son's shoulder, symbolizing her role as a mother and evoking a secular Madonna. The portrait, paired with Bronzino's depiction of Cosimo I, is idealized to reflect the stability, wealth, and dignity of the Medici family. The painting emphasizes Eleanor's elaborate silk dress adorned with black arabesque and gold webbed loops, which has been interpreted as an early example of product placement, promoting the Florentine silk industry revived by Cosimo I. Eleanor's expression is intentionally inscrutable, creating a sense of distance and formality. Critics have noted the painting's use of quasi-heraldic colors and patterns contributing to its powerful and awe-inspiring effect.
Next is Bronzino's An Allegory with Venus and Cupid. It is a complex and enigmatic painting featuring Venus, the goddess of love, and her son Cupid in a highly sensual embrace depicted as lovers. The scene is theatrical, with masks symbolizing tragedy and comedy discarded in a lower right, enhancing the stage quality of a composition. Surrounding the central figures are various mysterious characters, including a grimacing figure, a putu holding flowers, a chimera with a girl's face, and a figure often interpreted as time. The painting's meaning has been widely debated, with interpretations suggesting the figures represent concepts like pleasure, fraud, jealousy, folly, and time. The work believed to have been commissioned by Cosimo I for King Francis I of France. It was intended to appeal to the erotic taste of the French court. Bronzino's stylization of Venus as an alabaster statue and the luxurious fabrics evoked the aristocratic and carnival atmosphere of the period. While later, critics like John Ruskin and Bernard Berenson condemned the painting for its artificially and perceived perversion, that it has influenced numerous artists including Jacques-Louis David, Pablo Picasso, Henri Matisse, and Giorgio de Chirico. The painting has also permeated popular culture, being referenced in literature, manga, and film, underscoring its lasting impact on the arts.
Jacopo Bassano's The Flight into Egypt depicts the Holy Family being led into Egypt by an angel. The central figure is the Madonna, holding the infant Jesus while riding a donkey, with Joseph walking ahead in flowing orange robes. The diagonal composition emphasizes the dynamic movement of the scene. The angel, with one hand pointing to a sprouting tree symbolizing resurrection and the other hand gesturing upward, contrasts with the more earthly figures, highlighting his otherworldly presence. Bassano, born in the small village of Bassano del Grappa, was influenced by Venetian art, particularly Titian color palette and Albrecht Dürer's print. Despite his exposure to these influences, Bassano remained in his birthplace, which allowed his distinctive style to develop. He was a pioneer of genre scenes, particularly biblical pastoral with contemporary elements, making him one of the most popular Venetian painters in the mid-1500s. Although his work was later overshadowed by a flood of mediocre copies, his contributions were recognized in major exhibitions in 2010.
Parmigianino's Madonna with the Long Neck is a quintessential Mannerist painting that features the Madonna with elongated limbs and a monumental presence at the center of the canvas. The nude infant Jesus reclining on her lap with limp arms and closed eyes evokes a python-like sorrow. The Madonna's expression, with her overly long fingers held to her heart and a slight smile, appears distant and bemused, creating a contrast between the religious subject and the portrayal of a fashionable yet emotionally detached aristocrat. The surrounding angels are animated but resemble curious children more than divine beings. The architectural background, while classical in appearance, lacks traditional linear perspective, adding to the painting's unsettling ambiguity. The small figure of Saint Jerome, with elongated limbs, is seen holding a scroll in the distance to the right. The painting, commissioned in 1534 for Francisco Tagliaferri's funerary chapel in Parma, was left incomplete when Parmigianino died in 1540. Commonly known as Madonna with a long neck, due to Mary's swan-like neck, the work epitomized the Mannerist style with its unconventional treatment of space and figures. Art historian E.H. Gombrich noted the deliberate imbalance in composition, where a crowded group of angels contrasts with a wide open space on the other side, emphasizing the artist's innovative approach to involving the viewer in the painting's complex relationships and meanings.
This movement embraced artificiality, creating art that was both emotionally charged and visually striking. Mannerism may appear irregular and unnatural at first glance, but it possesses a unique elegance and depth.
To sum up, Mannerism is an art form that stands apart due to its unnatural, stylized, and often bizarre qualities. Whether in painting or sculpture, Mannerist works are characterized by elongated forms, twisted poses, and vibrant, sometimes jarring, and color schemes.
The elongation of body parts, the vivid colors, and the exaggerated perspectives all contribute to a sense of wonder and intrigue. Mannerism is more than just an art style. It's a lens through which we can explore the psyche and the creative brilliance of the artist who shaped this extraordinary movement.
Thank you for joining us in the exploration of Mannerism. We hope this journey into the world of stylized beauty
And artistic innovation has inspired you to look at art from a new perspective.
Stay curious and keep exploring the wonders of art.